Okay. So, what is mindfulness? What does that even mean? Because it could mean so many things. And mindfulness actually came from John Kabat-Zinn, who brought that term in from, really, he brought it from the East, from Buddhism. And what he's done is he's made it something that doesn't have a religion. It doesn't need those religious things. It's just taking the tools from it, the methods, to become better, really. And he has these attitudes, and some of you probably already know this, but he's just trying to get people to a place where they're not judging themselves. They're more in the present moment. They are just generally kinder to themselves. And that's just me really summarizing it. And Buddhism teaches the same thing: compassion, kindness. So that's what it is in a nutshell. And they say that stress and anxiety is just mental formations brought about from our past, from our belief of something that might happen. Even anger comes from there as well. It's just what we think is going to happen, some kind of fear. We go into this response of, I'm going to get hurt, so I got to rebel in some way. So mindfulness can help to uncloud some of it. And it, like, something that stuck with me was, if you look into a mirror and there's dirt all over it, it's kind of like cleaning the dirt off. And you can see yourself more clearly, because everyone knows there's that self down under somewhere. For example, you go and you see something amazing someday, you go travel, or something happens in your life, a life-changing moment. You're there, you're feeling good, your real self is there. It's just sometimes it gets covered with something, fog, a mist, you can call it, whatever you want. So what do we do about that? Before we go into that, I'm actually going to share some slides, which I wasn't sure if I would do or not, but I'll share a few. So let me just share that one. And I'd encourage you to take any notes that you think are useful, basically. Okay, we've done that. So this is kind of how I like to work with people, because the way I see it, we have all of these different modalities. We have this physical aspect of ourselves. And that just, for me, like I made these up myself, so I don't know if they resonate with you, but this is how it feels like it works for me. So we have the physical energy, the food, the sleep, the things we can do, the things we can control to create energy, to create the driver for ourselves. And this is where fitness comes in. This is where food and nutrition is so popular, right? And all of these well-being habits, and it gets quite intense sometimes, where there's all of these like practices and these methods of becoming fit and healthy, and it's useful, but it's just one element, really. It's just creation of energy. Optimizing that will change a lot, for sure. There's this second part, which is kind of what we're going to focus on today, which I called spiritual, which I wasn't sure if I should or not, but it sums up kind of what I mean by it, which is just getting to this place, which is not physical, it's not mental, it's something else. So harnessing that energy. So I've written there to know, and this is internal. And then there's this mind that we have. Can I just mute somebody for a second? Yeah, there we go. Or if you're not on mute, then yeah, okay, great. And then there's this mind that we have, which is the psychological world, the beliefs, the things that have happened, and these things that have happened in the past, these worries, these fears, these stories that keep coming up. We're not going to focus so much on that today, but number 2, I generally find helps a lot with number 3. Number 4 is life force. So this is creating, this is getting to a place where you can, you still have some of these distractions and these worries, but you are able to create whatever you want to create. So this is like how I like to work with myself and with other people if I'm coaching someone, for example. All right, next slide. This kind of explains it in another way. I've written down now power, and all I mean by that is we can interrupt certain things that are happening. So if we have an anxious thought, we can change our state. So for example, you can change your physiology. You can go and meditate, you can run, whatever, and it feels better, right? Everyone knows that they have certain things that they can do to interrupt. That's one way I like to kind of work with myself and everyone else. Then there's awareness, which is what we're going to focus on today, really, is just knowing what's going on. Rather than being blind to it, you know what's actually happening. It's like your mind opens, your eyes open a bit more. Then we have understand and liberate, which just means really knowing yourself deeply, your mind, your past, all of the stuff that's buried underneath, and liberating yourself from it. 5 just means fuel. That just means, what is your physical regime? What are you doing to create energy, to create time, to optimize your time, to get yourself in the best state, basically. And then life force is the same as before, is what are you doing with that thing? What's your output? So here's a question for you guys. We're going to talk about awareness today. So what do you think people should do to increase their awareness? And what do you think feels so difficult about it or scary about it? So let's focus on the last 2 questions just for now. Feel free to unmute yourself. Throw any thoughts that you're having about what feels difficult or what feels scary.
The first thing that comes to my mind is that by going there, it's a way to accept responsibility.
Yeah. And is that difficult or scary?
Could be.
Or is that, yeah, tell me a little bit more.
Difficult or scary? I guess it can be both. It can, I'm thinking about self-awareness and how by becoming more and more self-aware, then you are left with less excuses to be a victim or to blame things on others or situations. Yeah. And then you end up realizing that you actually have some responsibility for your life.
Yeah.
And with that responsibility, there's some weight. So
yeah,
that's what came to my mind.
Sure. No, great. Anyone else?
I think following from what Monica said is that it's with that self-awareness or acceptance or taking his responsibility, you also need to kind of accept the actions or non-actions that you're taking or the things that you are creating or not creating, so that you cannot not be a victim of the circumstances anymore, what Monica actually already said. But
yeah,
I think that can be very scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to reflect on that in a sec. But I'll give more people a chance to feedback first.
Can I jump in with something?
Yeah.
It's adding to what's already been said, but the word that comes up to me is change. So that responsibility to change or not to change, and the difficulty is that it's hard. It can be hard. It can be a struggle. And you can open up a can of worms, which you might not want to do. So with that awareness comes responsibility, comes change, comes difficulties, comes a lot more shit that's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. And in the chat, somebody said, if you aren't comfortable, whatever it may feel easier to ignore it. It can be scary to admit some things exist. Yeah, so it seems like a few people are saying this. It's facing the reality of it. And this is definitely a thing, right? It's scary. Like, for example, I had a client who I'm working with, and she said to me, Raj, I'm starting to feel uncomfortable around my friends. Like when I'm hearing conversations, I'm just not there with them. And I feel like something's wrong with me because all of these thoughts are coming up now since we've been working together. And she said, what is that? I don't know what this is. And I kind of said to her, this is just something opening up, because previously maybe it was not in front of you, right? It's not in your face. Now it's in your face and your body is actually calming down. Everything's changing so much, and that can be scary. And having to face up to things, and like someone said earlier, it's you have to take responsibility, and it can be scary. So I'm glad you guys have reflected on that, and I'm going to definitely go into that a bit more. Okay, I'm going to move on if there's nothing else for now. So these are some of the thoughts that come up for a lot of people. And a show of hands, you can either use the hand function or you can write in the chat. How many of you have, if you just scroll down and look at these, how many of you have experienced at least 15 of these? Okay, we've got some hands raised up. I'll raise my hand as well, to be honest. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, these things, sometimes we don't even know they're there. They're just coming up in the background. Like, even if you look at the words, maybe you don't, you think to yourself, yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure if that comes up. But sometimes it's in the background. It's kind of like this little program that's kicking off every now and then when you're about to do something. It's just teasing you, and it's like tapping you on the head saying, hey, for example, 21, I'm a loser. You know, I'm about to do something amazing, but no, this I'm a loser comes up. And this is just how the mind works. They call it the autopilot, basically. So this, yeah, we're gonna, oh, somebody's wrote in the chat, 13 and 30. Yeah. No, it's hard to actually recognize some of these and even just say, oh yeah, this is definitely me, because these things just come up every now and then and we don't even know it. It's flying under the radar sometimes. So some of the effects, this is what happens, and these, I definitely relate to these. So it can come into your mind, it can come into physical sensations, sweating. I used to sweat a lot, actually. Strange story to tell, but yeah, I used to sweat a lot when I was anxious and go red. I used to go bright red, and that was also another fear. I used to just not be able to breathe. I used to just think all, like most of these things I used to feel, and behaviors definitely avoiding things. I avoided so many things. And rumination and self-blame, I think, is very common for some people as well. Something happens and you go and analyze it later. You know, that's just how some of this works. So, and let me know what comes up for you guys. If any of this feels like you're really in this place, then yeah, just put something in the chat maybe. Because the thing is, like, these feelings just come up in this cycle of us not even knowing like how to get through it, or why is this happening? This is automatic. I can't stop it, basically. And we're going to go into that soon. I'm not going to just talk about all of these, this doom and gloom for so on. It's just for awareness, really. So, chain of events. Looking for jobs online and my computer stops working. A thought that might come up. This is hopeless. Nothing ever goes right. You might throw your computer and go to the bed and cry. You might feel a feeling in your chest. You might feel angry. And then sometimes these things connect with each other. And the body might completely shut down, and yeah, things just get quite difficult from there. So, what's actually going on? I'll start with, okay, see what order it's going in. Just put them all. Okay, so we go into these states. If we start in the middle, let's talk about fight or flight. This is when we actually have energy. We do have a lot of energy going through our body, but it is our sympathetic nervous system which is really triggered. And all that means is you're ready to go. You're ready to run. You're ready to fight. You're just, you know, you've got so much energy. And this is why I used to do a lot of weightlifting, because it was my way of getting rid of this energy, right? I just had so much of it because I was tense and anxious all the time. So I became very strong, you know, that was a good side effect. But, you know, yeah, it wasn't a good thing that was going on. So I was in this fight or flight mode a lot, just stuck, just couldn't get out of it. The only way I could get out of it was if I did exercise or I drank a lot of alcohol, which wasn't good either. So that's the middle of the ladder. This is a ladder, basically, of how our bodies are reacting sometimes. And sometimes you can go even more down to a different state. If you look down where it says numb and collapsed, shut down, this is freeze. This is when your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. And that just means your energy is draining, you're shutting down, basically. And when, you know, as soon as you go down here, it's like your body's saying, okay, I'm done with the fight or flight. Now I just need to go and freeze. And it can be like, for example, you might be in bed and you might be sad. You feel like, I don't want to do anything in life. I don't want to move anywhere. And this is actually, one of my clients was saying this as well. She said, when she gets into this state, she just wants to hide in bed all day, not speak to anyone. And she has no energy. She doesn't want to eat, nothing. So is your body shutting down? It's actually your body's doing something, right? And where we want to get to is we want to go up this ladder, basically, and we want to get to resourceful. What does this mean? This means when we are social, we're engaged, we want to talk to people, we feel safe, we have let down the walls, and we are open, basically. The way I think of it is like you've opened your heart to the world, really. And what happens here is your sympathetic nervous system calms down, your parasympathetic nervous system is relaxed. So you're relaxed just as you are in freeze, but you are not collapsing. It's a positive relax. It's like feeling, you know, good, basically. and in between these states is that like this response where you have a bit of energy and you also are relaxed. It's just a great feeling. I'm sure you can all agree with that. So here's a fun slide. I don't know why I chose a lamp, but what do we really want and what do we not want? I want to hear from you guys. As you've seen all of this stuff, we're going to be moving on to some techniques soon, but I just want to pause there and say, what do we really want? What do you guys think we really want? And then I'll tell you what I think most people really want and don't want. So feel free, unmute yourself, put it in the chat. And after we've done that, we'll move on.
I want to feel fulfilled and have a purpose in my life.
Awesome. Purpose and fulfilled, yeah.
I think as humans, we want our needs met, like our basic needs, but also, yeah, that fulfillment. I'm thinking of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and as someone just said, fulfillment. But beyond that, I'm just thinking happiness. We just want to be happy.
Yeah.
I said that in a really melancholic voice. I didn't mean it like that.
No, awesome. Great. So people are writing in the chat, happiness. Yeah, someone else wrote happiness. Well, belonging, connection, purpose, comfort, inspiration, interesting things to think. Oh, no, okay. Contentment. Yeah, so exactly, like it comes down to happiness. And like from my perspective, like I got into this phase where I was so into philosophy and learning all types of philosophy because I was looking for that peace, right? And from what I found is that people just want this feeling of joy and peace. So I guess joy, happiness, very, very much connected. Joy, peace, and also fulfillment, to know that we are using our time well in life. Because if you were just peaceful doing nothing, you might get into this place where you're like, okay, now what do I do? I want to use my time in this world, basically. So safety and security, feeling free. Yeah, great. Purpose. Yeah, purpose is, yeah, that's a good one. Moving on up the ladder, nothing ever goes away until it's taught us what we need to know. So maybe these things are happening for a reason. I'm not just going to be doom and gloom here and just give you all of these these scary facts. No, something might be going on there. So that's by Pema Chodron, who is a Buddhist monk. Next one, where is it? There. Between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Viktor Frankl, a famous psychologist. If you haven't read his book, amazing. He was a survivor in the concentration camps. So I'm going to move on because I feel like time is going by quickly. What is happening? Briefly, I'm just going to tell you what is happening, and it's probably making sense from everything we've said so far. Events, situations, imagination, sometimes memories, it's creating these reactions. It's creating this fear sometimes, which is changing our physiology, which I explained earlier. And sometimes once we get to that point of physiology, we find it hard to go back. We're like, man, I'm feeling tense and I don't know what to do here. Like it's hard to change it once you get to that point. Because we have this reaction, like I've written there in bright red. Reaction might be anger, our body might tense up and we're ready to fight or flight or whatever. So what do we do about it? Here we get to the fun parts now, guys. Power of presence. Presence, this word flies around as well. Basically, it's the same thing I just said earlier. If we are in the present, we are not really connected to the past. We're not connected to the program, the memories, the beliefs. We're just here. And actually, like some people say to me, they're like, yeah, I don't know how to do that, because that just seems elusive. Raj, how do I do that? It doesn't make sense. Everyone's getting there all the time. It's just that maybe it's unconscious sometimes. For example, you are walking through a park one day, you are just walking, maybe your mind is in the past in this moment, but you see a family with some kids. They're having fun, they're laughing. You're watching, you're enjoying, you're maybe feeling good inside. You're present, really. You're just seeing this thing happen in front of you. That's mindfulness. You're practicing it right there without having to do anything. So how do we get that to a conscious behavior? So yeah, really what we're trying to do is, just going to say this one more time. What we're trying to do is we're trying to remove the fog, trying to create space and opportunity, really, because imagine that you were not connected to these fears. That means your future can actually change. You can have a different future. Everything that you do will change. Every feeling you feel will change. So it's actually really powerful stuff. And space, and I'm not going to go too much into this, but I get excited by this topic. There's so much space to create. And in the present and in silence, that really, for me, means more opportunity. It doesn't mean relaxing. It doesn't mean, okay, I'm just going to, watch TV. It just means my brain is allowed to reset, and now it can go on to a different trajectory. So how do we do it? This is what you guys were asking about. We're finally here. Meditation, number one. We're going to go into that in a second, so I won't go too much into that. With meditation, that's a very powerful way, because there's no distraction. There is inside you, but there's not outside you, hopefully, anyway. I don't know. It just means that you're going into this space where if you were looking at someone meditating, it just looks quite funny because there's nothing around them. But you're going inside. There's no outside, basically. Mindful eating. This is a good one, and I don't practice this too much, but it's funny. I don't know if I've told some of you guys this story, but I went for dinner or lunch, sorry, one day with a guy from my work, and it was with this client who had come in. We said, yeah, we're going to impress this guy. We're going to go and take him to lunch and give him an amazing treatment. And, he's not good books then, great relationship building. We go for lunch in this posh place, and he says to us, do you mind if we eat in silence? And we were like, what? Why? He said, I'm a practicing Buddhist. I like eating all my meals in silence. So we didn't get a chance to wow this guy. We sat there in silence. It's quite weird, but it was also very nice. It was my first experience of mindful eating, because I was just eating this food, really feeling texture, feeling the taste. I don't know about you guys, but I often just destroy my meals and quickly eat them. And I don't even realize what I've eaten sometimes. So that's one way to get into mindfulness. When you're eating, just eat. Just eat. Just don't overload yourself with things. Feel what you're eating, feel the taste, let your sensations come in. Look at it if you feel like looking at the textures. All of that's mindfulness. That's one technique. Number two, movement and walking. I know some of you guys here like movement. Movement is a very powerful way to get into mindfulness, because that means you can also calm your body down. You can actually physically calm your parasympathetic nervous system. And it just means that you can get out of your head. For example, if I say to you right now, become aware of your feet, right now. Just become aware of your big toe. Really focus on your big toe. Hello, did I just drop there? Okay, that was weird. All right, let's carry on. Let me share my screen again. All right, let's go back to that. Okay, so the big toe thing I was talking about a second ago. Actually, someone let me know you can see my screen. Just say yes, please.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, great, yeah. So the big toe thing, it's funny because it's so far away from our brain. If you did that a few times a day, just focus on your big toe. Just try it this week if you want and see if anything changes for you. There's some other focus far away from your head. It's all the way at the ground. And as soon as I learned that, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this all day long. So that's one thing. And actually moving the body, like for example, I held these movement classes and I think Kate was there, and really it was about getting out of the head into the body, becoming aware of how we're feeling in the body, moving your shoulders around. I don't know, whatever it is. There's so many ways to do it, and I'm not going to go into that too much now, but again, it's just another way. You can just do simple stretches. You don't have to do yoga poses and anything fancy like that. It's just moving around, feeling the joints. You know, we have these joints, these bits of flesh that we don't really give too much attention to. Flesh everywhere. If you just move it around, feel it, see what happens for you. Walking is very famous in Buddhism as well. Not taking your phone or listening to something. And I probably don't do this that much, but it's when I do, it's just so refreshing because there's just me feeling the feet on the ground, not trying to rush around. So another method is art, writing, reflecting in a journal. That's so powerful and is very popular now as well. Drawing, if you're an artist or a sketcher, painting, it's just another way to get your feelings out rather than it churning around in your head. It's just some way for you to get it out. Sound, and this is a very powerful one for some people. I know there's a few people here who play instruments. Just going into that sound world, because when you're really focusing on sound, listening to it, you can't get out. You can't really overthink if you're like really in the zone with your instrument. There's a few ways to do that. There's like Tibetan bowls you can use if you just want to hear the sound of the vibration. I'll show you guys in a minute. Yeah, it's another realm basically. Cleaning is another way, and some people actually enjoy cleaning because it gets them in this zone. For example, I was speaking to someone, I was actually presenting the other day to a group, and they said, yeah, when I go and do my washing, I think that's mindfulness, isn't it, Raj? And I was like, yeah, I think so. Because they said they just enjoy folding the clothes and not thinking about anything else. It doesn't feel like a chore to them anymore because they are just there in the moment. Nothing can feel like a chore if you're really there. So that's another one. Even washing dishes, whatever. Anything else comes to mind? What do you guys think?
For me, showering works. Taking a shower.
Okay, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. A lot of deep thinking comes in the showers.
For me, sticking my head out the window or out the kitchen door first thing in the morning, breathing the air, that kind of just grounds me.
Yeah, being one with the air. I like that. Okay, oops. All right, great. I'm going to move on because where are we? Hold on. Okay. Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. And I like that photo in the background because it's kind of like what it feels like when you meditate. It's like the sun finally comes out. And we're going to do one now because I feel like it's good for you guys to actually know what I'm talking about. I know you've all meditated before, but let's do a meditation together. So first, I want you to think about something that is challenging you right now. And I'm sure everyone has something, even if it's tiny. What do you feel like is a challenge? Just think about it. No need to say it. No need to share it with me. Keep that in your mind's eye for a moment. And now get yourself comfortable in your chair. See if you can feel yourself going upright, your spine slightly upright, but not so uncomfortable. Just as upright as you can. Plant your feet into the ground as if you were digging them into some sand. Really plant them in. Let all your toes touch into the ground deeply. And when you're ready, close your eyes. And start to become aware of your breathing. Feel the air slowly coming through your nose and leaving your nose. And now bring your awareness to your stomach. Feel stomach rise as you breathe in. Stomach fall as you breathe out. And bring your awareness down to your feet. And as you breathe in, feel the air traveling from the ground all the way up to your head. And as you breathe out, feel the air traveling all the way down to the ground again. Breath comes in, air goes up. Breath comes out, air goes down. And if you find yourself getting distracted by thoughts, just congratulate yourself for becoming aware of that. And bring your attention back to the breathing. And think of the challenge that I asked you to think about now. As you breathe in, really feel this challenge entering through your body. And as you breathe out, feel it releasing out into the ground. Breathing in, accepting with awareness. Breathing out, releasing with an inner smile. And slowly bring your attention back to your seated base, back to the room. Slowly move your fingers, feel your toes, and open your eyes. So, does anyone want to share what came up for them? Okay, everyone's too relaxed, it seems. Peace, but some awareness. Yeah, great. Good. So this is the first step, guys. This is the first step into everything, to find a place of stillness and calm. And I'm going to show you what actually happens. So I'm going to draw something, actually. This is fun. Let's see, where is it? Draw. Okay. So it's kind of like this. This is a, let me move that, hold on. So let's get a different color. This is a challenge. So let's say something happens in your day. For example, the other day I dropped a glass and that was very annoying. That goes up there. There's another challenge here. There's another one there. There's another one there. Actually, no, sorry. Let me start again. Undo, cancel, cancel, cancel. Those go here. So yeah, challenge, 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 challenge. Say a few good things happen in your day. Okay, good, great, great, great. There we go. This line is representing your state. Good. And the below is bad. Situation that happens. Good situation, bad. So let's get another color now. We will follow these patterns like this. Erratic sometimes. It'll be all over the place. We'll have ups and downs, right? Okay, this is us. We are the line going up and down with time. So this is us going through our day. What we want to get to with meditation is we don't want to follow the events. Bad thing happens means I feel really bad. And sometimes what can happen is we don't even if a good thing's happening, we don't even get to that good. We go about up here and then, okay, I don't believe in that good thing because this bad thing happened. So sometimes we stay below like that. So what we want to do with meditation, mindfulness, whatever you're going to do is we want to get to this phase. I'm going to choose a different other color. Let's choose pink. Where good things happening, bad things happening. We're getting pulled in a little bit by it, but we're pretty stable throughout our day. We're feeling good. Yeah, good things happening, bad things happening. Great. That's where we want to get to, basically, if that makes sense. So here's another thing I'm going to show you. How do I clear that? Annotate, clear all my drawings. Yeah. kind of like this. When we're unconscious to everything that's going on, we're just all over the place like this. If we have this in between part where we intervene with a meditation, with going for a walk, with something, we do something, we know what works for us, then we can fizzle that out basically. So we get into this like balanced state of mind. And eventually, this is what we want to get to, is we get to this place where we can climb towards this other level, and then we can maintain that. And once you get to that place, like it's like anything can be achieved, because yeah, you know, and I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying this is where you want to get to basically eventually. So, all right, I'm just going to move on quickly. What can we do to get to those personal, powerful states? This is from Stoicism, I think, and it's just really about taking responsibility and flourishing. So eudaimonia, I think they say it means flourishing in life. So what they say you have to do is you take responsibility, you focus on what you can control, not everything else that's happening, not letting yourself be pulled in by, oh, this happened or this is happening, so this means that. It's just focusing on what can you do right now? Like in this moment, what's the thing I can do that will help me? And living with areti just means expressing your highest self, really, that your best version. So do what you can with all you have, wherever you are. And I think we should add to that, wherever you are in this present moment, because once you do it from there, it's a game changer. So I'm going to go on to the next part, which basically, this is where it gets exciting now, because now we can start playing with our own emotions. And it's this head versus heart. We have all of these emotions that we can use, really, rather than them being unconscious emotions. Like, okay, I feel sad because of this, or I feel energetic because something great happened to me today, or I feel overwhelmed because of this, or I feel like I've got so much power right now because of this. It's how do we start consciously using that and making that happen without anything else needed? So, for example, if we look at this scale, this spiral, you're probably thinking, what is this thing? It just means the emotional spiral. So it's kind of like high vibrational states. So in the middle is balance, I guess, boredom, it says. And we can go downhill sometimes. We can go into fear. We can then go to like feeling doubt and blame and negative talk. Then it goes down to like levels of bitterness and guilt, feeling shame. And this is when like we don't have much energy. We're not really vibrating at a good frequency. And it's like we get stuck in these places, right? So what we want to do is we want to harness some of these good emotions, like joy, for example. Everyone knows when you feel joy, it's just something buzzing about you, right? It just feels good. Compassion, we'll talk about that in a second. Forgiveness as well. Forgiveness is huge. As soon as you can forgive someone without expecting something in return, it's another level of high, basically. So what I'm trying to say is we can use these highs, we can create these highs anytime we want. So I want you to think about gratitude right now, and I want you to write down one thing, or think of one thing that you are really grateful for. And just write that down. You don't have to share that, that's fine. And then I want you to think of number 2, compassion. I want you to think of someone else in your life that you can wish well, basically. You can wish them to feel good, or you can wish them some kind of result or whatever, basically. It's just thinking about someone else and sending them energy, sending them love. sending them joy, whatever it might be. And then think of one person that you can forgive. This is a hard one, because people do stuff to us sometimes, right? But it's us holding on, that we hold on to the pain for ourselves, right? If we can let that go, forgiving them, even if you think they don't deserve it, you are still reducing your own suffering. Even if you think this person needs to be shown this, or this person I have to get my own back on this person, or this person did this to me. If you let it go, it loses its power over you, right? The thing happened. The person might not be doing it to you still, but the thing is still affecting you. So, like I said, this one can be hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but just try and think of someone right now who you can forgive. And we're going to do a short meditation about this. So get yourself comfortable once again and close your eyes. And scan your body up and down, really fast this time, as if you could feel air going up and down, up and down, up and down, constantly going up and down. Move your eyeballs up and down if it's easier for you. That helps sometimes. And now pause in the middle. And start to remember what you're grateful for. And feel it in your body somewhere. Locate where in your body that sits. And breathe into it. And now think of somebody who you can give some compassion to. And feel yourself giving them this gift. Feel the emotions that it creates for you. And say to them a phrase that you might want to say. For example, may you be well. May you have peace. May you be loved. Now feel into the forgiveness. Forgive somebody, anyone. Just feel yourself letting it go. Breathing in forgiveness. Breathing out, letting it go. And slowly bring your awareness back to the room and open your eyes when you're ready. And let me know how that went for you guys in the chat or speak out loud. Incredible, somebody said. Bim. That was excellent. I love the compassion giving. Yeah. Yeah, it's a release. You don't need to hold on to this stuff. And sometimes forgiving yourself. I don't know if any of you guys did that, but I do that sometimes. Forgiving yourself for something so small. And you beat yourself up. We all beat ourselves up sometimes. It's like, hey, why didn't you do that? Here's a punch in the face. Hey, why aren't you doing that? What's wrong with you? Forgiving yourself, forgiving your inner child even. That's something I do quite a lot, actually. It's just release, just letting go of this tension that doesn't need to be there. Doesn't serve any purpose. So we're gonna move on because I'm aware time is going very quickly. But there is something that you can do with this. So when you're thinking of compassion, try this out sometime this week and make up a phrase that works for you. For example, may I be joyful. May I be well. May you be this. May we all be peaceful. Just thinking about those phrases, just feeling into those phrases, it creates this emotional spiral. You ascend, you vibrate a different frequency. Even if it feels silly or funny or weird or whatever, just try it and see what happens for you. You know, it's free. It's a free buzz, basically. And that will get you going into these higher states, more productive. Everything will change, trust me, as soon as you can access this energy, basically. So I'm going to move on. And where are we? I'm going to move on. I'm going to quickly go over this one very quickly. So questions to ask yourself. Setting yourself free by asking a question instead. It's like we assume everything is correct all the time. What if you question that thing and say, hey, like, oh, you are a failure. Is that actually always true? Or maybe just that one time? Can you find something to dispute it, to say it's not actually true? And if you do this after doing meditation or a mindful activity like cleaning, like I said, if you do this after that, rather than trying to go into this cold, that's something I teach people quite a lot when I'm coaching with them. Don't go into things cold. Like why would you do that when you can get 5 times more of a powerful hit if you just get yourself into an altered state first? Breathe, calm down, relax, meditate, walk, whatever you have to do that first, then ask these questions, or then do anything that you want to do. Basically, it's just so powerful to get yourself in these states first. For example, like I read after I meditate, and it just means like I absorb everything and I read so much faster. It's just like this superpower, basically, that's accessible to everyone. So yeah, that's questions basically. And let me just check 1 second. And for example, I ask myself a question every day. Every morning, I ask myself a question. So you can do that in a journal, for example. Like, I think the question I asked myself today was, what makes me feel alive? No, sorry. Am I doing more things to keep me alive, or am I doing more things that make me feel alive? And that instantly, as soon as I wrote down an answer, I realized like I'm actually just doing random things sometimes. What about the things that make me actually feel alive? And there's another really powerful question I want you to write down, actually. So there's this funny story about this Chinese monk, I think, he lived in he was in, what's the word for it? He was just in isolation. People, oh, can you hear me? Someone said I froze.
I think it's good now.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so there was this monk who he lived in isolation, and then everyone went to visit him. He was like this famous guy who had all this knowledge and wisdom. They traveled through the jungle, they traveled through dangerous terrains to get to him. And as soon as they got there, they got this wisdom, right? So everyone wanted to go see him. The only thing he asked them, so they get to the monk, right? You go, imagine you're going to go there, you get to this guy, he says to you, okay, you have to swear secrecy. You don't tell anyone this, but you remember this thing. And he says to them, what are you unwilling to feel? What are you unwilling to feel? Ask yourself that every day, maybe not every day, but if you want every day, ask yourself, what are you unwilling to feel? Sometimes we go blocking these things. That's why this sympathetic response comes out, this fear. We're not facing the things that are in front of us. And just a little bit of willingness changes everything. Are you willing to go there? So, what do we have left? I think we've only got a little bit left, which is good. So, in summary, I'm going to leave some time for questions in a moment. So, in summary, how to optimize yourself, manage your resources, the time you have, the energy you're making, the physical habits. That's very important. Like I said at the beginning, get all of that right first. Number 2, be with yourself. We talked about that a lot today. Presence, get into the real moment. Cleaning, whatever you have to do whatever you have to do to get yourself there. Number 3, know yourself. So really explore. We didn't go too much into that today, but I'm listing all of these out because this is how I work with someone, basically, to get them working on all of these levels, and that creates this like exponential change, basically. So knowing yourself, knowing your stories, where are they coming from? How do I get over these things? Conquering yourself, basically, getting over them, elevating above them, and yeah, just getting away from all of these stories that don't actually make sense. Creating yourself, so taking some actions to get to where you want to get to. As soon as you're working on these other parts, this number 5 becomes so much more easier because you've removed the fog. And then enjoying yourself. This is just it should be fun. This is not a chore, or it shouldn't be a chore. It's just having fun with all of these things. So the last thing, I just want to say this quote. For me, I am driven by 2 main philosophies. Know more today about the world than I knew yesterday, and lessen the suffering of others. You'll be surprised how far that gets you. So that is all I want to cover for now, but I do want to leave a little bit at the end to speak about how you guys can work with me in the future if that's what you want to do. But I want to answer some questions right now. So questions, I know there was a lot in there and time flew by. So throw some questions at me. Or reflections, or anything. Like, what did you feel was most useful today? Somebody has said in the chat, most useful.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, go on, go for it.
Sorry, Raj. Yeah, you carry on. I'll jump in.
No, go for it. I was just reading the chat out. Someone said most useful, carving out the time to pause and reflect. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I wrote some notes. I really enjoyed being reminded about states of being, about fight or flight, and being resourceful or freezing. especially because that resonated, because I have a client at the moment who's in that process, and actually when you started saying that, it became apparent to me that that's the state of being that she's in. And I really liked the hows as well, and I think they're very accessible. It's not so difficult, they're accessible.
Yeah.
And how to put them into practice regularly and get a feel for them is the thing for me that I'm taking away from this.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and a few things that people, somebody said, please can you repeat the phrase? So what are you, so are you doing more things that keep you alive, or are you doing more things that make you feel alive? That's what I said. So I'm going to go back to the things that everyone mentioned at the beginning was some ways I can do it which don't require meditating. Yeah, so hopefully I've covered some of that. I said, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be this thing where you sit cross-legged. You know, I know that's not for everyone. For me, it works because it just means I've got this time blocked out, and I know I'm trapped basically. I'm trapped in this place where I'm with my thoughts, and I find it's very powerful to do it that way for a lot of people as well. And the other questions were about, where do I start? So I'd say if you were to start, it would just be taking it very simple. Like, for example, I had a client who said to me, I hate being with myself, with my thoughts. I can't do it. So I said to her, how about we try 5 minutes first? How about you just sit in silence for 5 minutes? You don't have to do anything. And that's another misconception. Like, people think you have to do something when you're meditating. You have to try something. Really, it's just about sitting, just sitting. Like in Japan, they just call it just sitting. Just sit there. Anyone can just sit there, right? Just do that first. You don't have to get in these altered states that I talked about. You don't have to do any of these talk about these emotions. I'm just suggesting those because I think that can be useful to have some focus. But if you just want to try, just try 5 minutes. Or just try focus on compassion, or focus on one thing, or just focus on your breathing. It's just about making it easy for yourself. Instead of feeling overwhelmed about, okay, I've got to meditate for half an hour. No, that's hard in itself. And the other question, when my mind races, how do I get my confident self back? Hopefully I've answered that somewhere along this, where I talked about tapping into these heightened emotions like joy or gratitude or compassion. Just doing that shifts you out of that thinking, because you go into the heart, you go into the body. It's just another energy which is just so much more powerful than just thoughts alone. And I think that's the questions. I'm trying to read my own messy handwriting at the moment. Yeah, I think that's the questions. Does anyone else have any reflections as I say that, basically? Feel free to unmute yourself, put something in the chat.
Yeah, I just like what you said. It is as simple as going into the body instead of staying in the mind, because that reminds me. I made this question, like, I don't like the cross-legged sitting meditation. Like, I get bored and sleep.
Yeah.
But then the easy answer for me is like, just use any of your 5 senses and focus on them. So it's just about going to the body in a way, like find the way that serves you.
Yeah.
And that's already being mindful. So it seems quite easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I mean, really, it gave me a lot of ideas, both for myself as well as just for client work. You know, just some different angles, also like the freeze, fight, flight, and resourceful stages. Just really, it's just so simple in a way. Like we kind of all know about it, but you're not like. It really also reminded me of someone I spoke to today, where I'm like, if I would only have asked that question, I'm just so curious. You know, what would happen, because sometimes you need to just zoom out, like where are you at, where are you at? So yeah, I'm feel very inspired. Thank you for sharing all of this, and yeah, definitely taking this on.
Awesome. All right, I'll leave it as that. If anyone else wants to ask me questions, and by the way, I want to just tell you that, but I'm going to be doing a mindfulness course. So if this feels like it's a whistle-stop tour and you're thinking, whoa, like my mind is exploding, I don't know what the hell's going on, there's just too much here, Raj. I'm going to break that down in a much easier way. So I'm going to start with the really basics of mindfulness, because like I said at the beginning, it's all about the awareness. It feels like that's the foundation for everything. You want to be great at life, you have to be aware at all of these things. If you want to feel better, you know, it's not about just tangible, I want to achieve this. It's also about just feeling good, getting to that place of calm, practicing this muscle. I call it an awareness muscle. It has to be trained, really. So I'm going to be doing an 8-week course. So I'm qualified as a mindfulness teacher. I don't know if I said that at the beginning, but qualified as a mindfulness teacher. They teach us an 8-week course, but I'm just taking bits of that basically, because the way I've studied it is I've gone really back to the roots of India and parts of the East, and yoga, of course, because I practice yoga very regularly. So I'm taking bits of the course that I'm qualified to teach, and also taking my experiences and my experiences in coaching, putting it into an 8-week course. It's going to be online like this on Zoom. Facebook group. I'm going to post videos after each session so everyone can watch it after. I'm going to send meditations that I've recorded, specific ones that basically build up somebody's awareness over time. It's not just you do this random YouTube video that you watch sometimes. No, we've got to have a structure of how we get there and how you get to a stage. Because after 8 weeks, it's like I want people to leave this course with, I'm ready to just do this and I'm aware of myself and I don't need to just question how do you do this mindfulness thing. It's instilled in you. So that's one way to work with me. I'm going to be doing a course in the end of April. That's when it's starting. So if that's interesting to you, send me a chat right now. Just go to chat and go to private. So just send it to me and my name. Send me a message right now and just say that would be nice to hear about. You know, you don't have to sign up or anything. It's just, okay, it'll be cool to hear about that. And we can have a chat basically. It's one way to work with me. Another way to work with me is one-to-one, where it's a bit more than just awareness. It's all of those things I spoke about at the beginning. Working with a person's energy, working with their actual limitations and worries and fears, and that holistic view, basically. So if that, you know, we can have a conversation about that as well. So just feel free to message me in the chat now, or I will send a feedback form afterwards, giving you an option to do it from there, basically. Okay, thanks for people who are already messaging. Great, yeah. All right, so I'm going to stick around for the next 5-10 minutes or whatever. Whoever wants to stay can stay and just ask me questions, because like I said, it might feel like a lot and a bit of overload. Stay and we can chat, and if you want to chat about the course, we can do that as well, whatever you feel like doing. Great. any other questions, burning desires, like, oh, I wish I could ask this right now. Just, this is your time to do that.
Thank you, Raj. I'm gonna go, but
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling good. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. So thank you, everyone.
Thank
Hope you
you
have an
so
awesome
much.
week.
Cheers.
Thank you, Raj. As
Cheers.
always, very good.
Thank you.